Hello, everyone. I'm getting messages all over the place. Richard's wandering around. Jill and Richard's friends have just arrived, the naughty Jen and Nick. Um, the dogs are all ready, and they're probably going to bark when Jen and Nick come back upstairs, but that's all right. Hello, Joel. Lovely to see you. I will put you on the mailing list for next week so that you get all the information. Apologies. Mushroom Volgant, Craig. That sounds lovely. Who else is there? Craig and Shell and Andrew and Karazawa. Hi. Good on you. Local beer sounds much better than wine. Peter and Karen. Yes. Okay, you got that message. Hello, Emily and Kevin. How you going? All right. Hello, Anne. Party pies. Good idea. I didn't even manage party pies. And I just started coughing, a little frog in my throat about 2 minutes before we got started. So hopefully that'll stop. The wine will probably fix it. Hello, Jack and Zach. How you doing? Hello, Sue and Daryl. Lovely to see you. Who have I not said hello to? I think I've said hello to everyone so far. Let's get some wine in our glasses. Isn't it a beautiful day? I've had a crappy day, but the weather's been lovely, so that's nice. And it's over now, and we've got Pinot Noir to drink. 2020 Pinot Noir. I hope that this hasn't confused you too much. The bottle with the handwritten blue label is for next week. It's the 2022 that we're going to be talking about. Why we hold on to our wine for a couple of years in bottle before we drink it. So that'll be interesting. But the 2020, and Polly, you can stop barking now. Thank you. Good girl. 2020 is a new release. We've just got to the end of our 2019. Hello, Fee and David. How you going? We've just got to the end of the 2019 at Celador, and we released the 2020 to our distributors a week ago. So it's out there in the world, and I thought it was perfect timing. I knew we'd be releasing it sort of around about this time, but I didn't realise when I put the box together that it would be this week that we were releasing it at Celador. So perfect timing here. Oh, Michael, a no alcohol Ayurvedic retreat in Kerala. Enjoy your ginger tea and curry. Lovely to see you. Thank you for checking in. So I've poured the wine in my glass, and the first thing that I'm sure you noticed is that it's quite pale in colour. It's such a beautiful colour. It's pale, but it's got that lovely sort of garnet hue to it, and it's very translucent, which is just gorgeous. Giving it a good swell because it's a bit young. But gosh, that nose is gorgeous. Is everyone drinking it now? We've probably drunk half the bottle by now. Connie and John, hi. Honey Harvest. Oh, yes. Hello, Sue and Jeff. Fiona's getting star anise on the nose. Absolutely. So this is one of those really interesting. Go for it, Joel. Have a drink. You deserve it. Oh, well, by the way, Joel's new to the group, so welcome, Joel. Lovely to have you on board. So 2020 was quite a cool vintage. We have sort of had this chat before about some other 2020 wines, but let me just remind you again that 2020 was that year that we started the year with bushfires towards the end of 2019, and over the New Year's Eve period, there were bushfires in New South Wales and in Northern Victoria. It was a really horrible summer for a lot of people. It was hot and it was windy and it was dry and there was a lot of fire around. But down here on the Mornington Peninsula, it was dry, but it was not hot. It was quite a cool, mild vintage. So this is one of the reasons that we have such a pale colour in the wine. And we've looked at the 2020 single vineyard Pinots before, and they also were quite pale in colour. So the paleness of colour is due to a lack of sunshine during vintage and the skins being not developing as much thickness as they would if it was a very sunny year. And so you get thinner skins, less pigment, paler colour. particularly with Pinot Noir. But you also get really beautiful aromatics in a cool year like this, because the wine was beautifully ripe, but certainly took a long time to ripen. So the aromas, in fact, Polly's just jumped up on the sofa to say hi. So the aromas have sorry, Jen and Nick are looking lost, but I think they'll be able to work themselves out. I did close the door, but Mum opened it again. Hello, Alison. Lovely to see you. Oh, Connie and John doing honey deals on the side. Very good. So where was I at? Pale colour, delicate but complex aromas. Hi, Polly. You funny girl. She's been very clingy today for some reason. So star anise definitely, but I also get some really lovely red cherry and a little bit of raspberry as well. Bit of strawberry too, but really fresh, beautiful perfumed strawberries, not those supermarket ones. Hello, Linda. And it's one of those wines that I just like to keep smelling and smelling. Jill's done some beautiful roses for us tonight, and I think that's very apt because there's some rose perfume to this wine as well, a little bit of violet as well. So it's got everything going on, as well as the star anise that you saw at the beginning, Fiona. I reckon it's got also some sort of just a little kind of savoury soy lift to it. Quite Asian aromatics in the spices. Star anise, a little bit of little tiny bit of Chinese five spice as well, a little bit of cinnamon. It's very intriguing, and some like sandalwood or really perfumed cedar wood or something like that. Fiona, duck breast marinated in five spice and hoisin to go on the barbecue. They will be beautiful with this wine. This is Anne always suggests Peking duck pancakes with these wines, and I nearly just went there, and I thought, oh, some of you will get that. We'll get there anyway with this wine, but I like the idea of Sang Choi Bao because I've been craving that crunchiness of the lettuce as the suns come out. I think that's a really lovely texture flavour combination. The lettuce cups with the spicy, salty, delicious meat. All right, I don't have any of that, so I'm going to stop talking about it now. Enjoy yours. I think the cherry fruit on the palate comes through really beautifully. It's a little bit of sour cherry and a little bit of sweet red cherry, and it's all kind of rolled up around a slightly sort of meaty, gamey duck quail kind of flavour profile, which I think is really delicious. I love the fact that it's got that brightness of fruit, but it's not heavy and it's not overly rich. It kind of floats across the tongue in a very elegant, delicious way. And it's not something that you have to think too hard about, which is good because my brain's dead today. How's everyone else's week going? Shell and Andrew, you look like you're having an amazing trip in Japan. I hope that you're having fun. Craig, I'm finding the wine is struggling against the food. It's too delicate for stronger flavours. I think that you need to be careful with the flavours. I think it is quite elegant, and if you've gone super strong with your flavours, then it might be struggling a bit. Maybe just drink the wine and eat the food separately. A hot and sour dipping sauce on the gyros is always a mistake with Pinot, Coddy. Sorry. Have a try. If you've just got a little bit of soy sauce, just try if you haven't poured the dipping sauce on all over the gyozas, try a bit of soy sauce on the gyoza without the hot and sour, and see if that works better, because I think that this wine works really nicely with that kind of soybean saltiness. But yeah, anything too spicy or too sort of too sour is gonna. I think it's the sourness. Anything sort of vinegary citrusy, those kind of flavours are really going to fight with this wine. So I think it's going to be tricky. Shell beer snacks are a range of truffle breads, truffle and pastries, and local Kurosawa cheese. Very good. I don't know where Kurosawa is. I know up in the island of Sapporo they make a lot of cheese. I think that could that they make some beautiful cheeses up there, but I'm not quite sure where you are. I'll have to have a look on the map after we've finished. It is changing the glass, absolutely, Nareem. And I was just going to say, Alison, what Craig's already said, that the wine needs lots of air, some serious swirling. You need to get some air into that, and the nose will come up. It is quite subtle, but it will get a little bit more intense as you get some swirling in. More floral, less spicy. Absolutely, Fiona. I also, I think today is a bit of a hay fever day. So if you do suffer a little bit from sinuses and hay fever and things like that, then you might be a little bit more blocked up in the nasal passages than is ideal. But I think that's what happened with my scratchy throat. But the florals are coming up, and the red cherry is coming out more on the nose. And also as it warms up in the glass, you probably, on a warm day like this, I don't know what it's like where the rest of you are, but it's lovely here. It's about 26 degrees, I think, at Moorooduc today, and the sun is out, and it's just perfect, not too hot, not too cold. But on a day like today, you want to be holding your glass on the base or on the stem. Don't hold it by the glass, because our hot little hands will warm it up too quickly, and then it just gets kind of, all the nice aromatics will float off. Something else you can try as it gets warmer over this summer, and I think we're going to have, if all the reports prove themselves to be true, with El Nino coming, it is going to be hot, and it's always a good idea to remember that Pinot Noir doesn't mind a little bit of a chill in summer. So don't be afraid to put it in the fridge for half an hour before you pull it out and put it in the glass. If it's a bit too cold on a hot day, it's going to warm up to the right temperature really quickly, and you'll see it'll be closed, and then it'll just blossom for you, which will be a very pleasurable experience, I believe. I enjoy it anyway. There's an interesting kind of fresh wood kind of aromatic in this wine now as the layers kind of open up. I'm getting, when you I don't know how many of you are going to relate to this because it's a bit specific, but dad kind of, he's terrible at it, but he quite likes a bit of a whittle from time to time. And I remember whenever I go camping and I've got a little pocket knife, it's nice to sort of just, peel a stick and have a bit of a whittle. I don't ever make anything, but that smell of fresh wood, bark coming off fresh wood, is coming out in this wine. Craig is seeing a slight haze. If there is one, Craig, it's very, very slight. I'm not really seeing it in my wine, but if there's a tiny little bit of, because Dad and Jeremy are particularly, if Jeremy was on, I think he's busy with family stuff at the moment. He said he probably wasn't going to be able to join us, but I think oh, good, Craig. I think that Richard and Jeremy are both quite sensitive to wine not being clear. That said, we generally don't clarify our Pinot Noir. So we don't tend to fine or filter Pinot Noir because we find that it usually clarifies enough naturally during the winemaking that it falls clear enough that we're happy with it. So it does mean that every now and again there might be a very low level haze, but if it's more than just a little hint, then I think Jeremy and Richard would be right on it. You may have a dirty glass. That's also possible, Peter. Fiona, it is vegan. Absolutely. Um, Hi, Jeremy. It's looking beautiful. That spicy thing's going on really, really well. Now, Jeremy, I'm not sure whether you heard Craig's question about his wine has got a slight haze to it, and I'm struggling to see it, but I'm quite generous when it comes to a little bit of haze. But would you feel that this was a wine that was maybe had less than perfect clarity? I was just talking about the fact that. Yeah, I'll give you a sec to talk haze, but I was talking about the fact that we don't filter or fine the wine generally because we find that gives us a better quality. It keeps all the perfumes, all of the loveliness. Haze as in cloudy. No, yes, not cloudy. Alison, you got the colour fading around the edge. Oh yeah, well that usually happens with a pale coloured wine because you've got less density you've got the wine is shallower at the edge. There's less depth of wine out here at the edge than there is in the middle. So it looks paler in colour. But yes, when we talk about haze, we're talking about a little bit of cloudiness or a lack of clarity in the wine. So yes, going back to Fiona, it is definitely it's definitely vegan. There are fining agents that are vegan as well, but we just don't use any, so it makes it really easy. And before anybody asks what wine isn't vegan, probably most of you know that a lot of people use a little bit of egg white sometimes to fine red wine. And for vegans, if you've put egg white through the wine, even if it's come out the other end, so as to speak, then it's still touched animal products, and a lot of people find that unacceptable. So we've not had to use, and gelatin, it's another one that a lot of people use for fining. But our Pinots have been vegan for a long time, and our Chardonnays have been vegan since 2019 because we changed a practice that we used then to make sure it was vegan. Fiona loves the Robinson and loves this one too. Where are the grapes from in this? Well, I don't have the book in front of me, Fiona, but I usually this wine has got fruit from the Robinson vineyard and from the McIntyre vineyard, and often some from the Garden vineyard, and also often some from a little vineyard called Duns Creek. So it's a blend across potentially 4 vineyards, but that changes from year to year. So this might have more Robinson in it than a normal McIntyre. It might not. And Jeremy's quickly working on haziness, possibly. He's obviously either typing hard or he's got distracted with dinner. But yes, without the book in front of me, I can't imagine that Jeremy will remember off the top of his head what the blend is either. But yeah, I would say, Fiona, there's definitely some Robinson fruit in here, but I don't know how much. It's sometimes equal quantities from all the vineyards, and sometimes it's less. And 2020 was a small vintage, so I think we might have been scrabbling to find enough fruit for the single vineyards and then also for the estate Pinot. So yeah, it's there, but I do think it's got a similarity to some of the Robinsons in that because it's from a cool year, it's got that real red fruited silkiness to it, which I think is really lovely. So Jeremy is saying, and Kevin, I'll come back to your question. Absolutely. Jeremy's saying the haze thing's common in Pinot. Each year is different. Unless the haze starts to impart a deleterious effect on the texture of the wine, we'd much rather allow it to be rather than filtering and fining, I think is where he's going to get to next. Thank you, Jeremy. And Kevin has noted that he's seen milk products listed sometimes as well. And milk can be used for fining, absolutely, or milk products. The reason that our Chardonnay was not 100% vegan until 2019 was, I think it was 2019, was that prior to that, we would use a little addition of 50% cream, 50% water. And when I say a small addition, I'm talking about 5 to 10 drops, so tiny quantities, on the top of our Chardonnay barrels as they started to ferment, because that oil content in the dairy product stops the bubbles from forming on top of the wine and stops it from bubbling up and spilling out over the top of the barrel. So less mess, more calm fermentations. The milk almost definitely, or the cream almost definitely, was out of the wine long before it went into bottle. But again, because we'd had a few drops of cream go into the wine, we didn't want to mislead anyone that that wine had a tiny proportion of animal products used in its making. So we've now changed across to a vegan product that does the same thing, and everyone's happy now. So Craig, how long does it take to blend the Pinot from the fields, or is it more around what's available? No, Craig, the cream went into Chardonnay, not Pinot Noir. Anyway, listen, I think you were busy typing while I was talking about that. So we make all of the parcels of Pinot fruit from the different vineyards and the different parts of each of the vineyards separately. So everything gets picked if it's a different clone, if it's different aged vines in different parts of the vineyard. If we've just identified already a character specific to one parcel of fruit in the past, we'll keep all of those parcels separate and we ferment them separately. We keep them separate all the way through until we're making final decisions about what goes to single vineyard and what goes to estate Pinot or Chardonnay and what potentially goes to Devil Bean Creek. And that decision is essentially made when the Devil Bean Creek and or the estate wine is ready to be assembled for bottling, because then we have to make the decisions. The only exception to that rule is the Garden Vineyard Pinot, because the Garden Vineyard Pinot is 100% whole bunch. So the single vineyard Garden Vineyard Pinot is selected from the vineyard. But all the other wines, we have pretty good ideas about what's going to do what and how things are going to behave, but we make final decisions at about the 9 or 10 month mark after we've picked the fruit. So the wine's pretty much finished. It just needs a bit more maturation, and that's when we make the final decisions about blending. Peter, it is drinking very easily. It's got a lightness to it, but it's also got a lovely intensity and complexity of flavour. So it's got a lightness to it, but it's not simple, I don't reckon. It's really yummy. It's got this lovely, now the red cherry fruit's kind of turning into almost, there's a little cranberry kind of note there. It's making my mouth water. I wish I had something to eat. Cody, I'm glad to hear that the wine is better without the overly spicy and sour food. Sorry if I led you astray with my food recommendation this week. Joel, it is refreshing on a warm day, even if it's not chilled. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really, there's a lot of red wine out there that's not refreshing. And I think that there's something really delightful about a refreshing Pinot that's got really good acid, that's got lovely crunchy red fruit, that just makes you a bit hungry, thirsty as well, which is always the sign of a good wine. A little bit hungry, a little bit thirsty, not in an angry way, just in a sort of slightly dreamy way. Oh, it'd be nice to have this with this food, and I'll have another little sip of the wine while I'm thinking about it. Slips down a little bit too easily sometimes. So it's a bit of a change from the 2019 that we're just finishing up with at the cellar door. The 2019 is much darker, much heavier, more savoury in character. And then I tasted some of the 2018 recently, because we've got a little bit of that put aside for a rainy day, for a Drinks with Kate box in the future to come back to look at. And the 2018 is looking absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of got this almost raspberry cordial kind of a character to it now. Really pure. I'd forgotten how pure fruited that 18 was because I got used to the 19 being kind of darker and more savoury and a little bit slightly chunkier in texture. Coming back to this wine, which is elegant and lifted and floral and has just the right amount of spice and just the right amount of red fruit. It's a really nice it's a nice expression of, still got its Moorooduc Pinot kind of hat on, but it's very much expressing the vintage that was 2020. So I think that's pretty good. Oh, yum. Sounds like everyone's having yummy food. Jackie Little. Jack's having pan-fried pork dumplings, yum. Did you pick these grapes the March we went into the first lockdown? We absolutely did, Jackie. That's right. We actually, I think this fruit was picked in early March. Might have been very late February, but yeah, that was just before we started lockdowns, just before we started Drinks with Kate. And yeah, look where we've come since. Isn't that weird? So in fact, this wine was being made as the first of you guys were experimenting with this crazy new online tasting thing called Drinks with Kate back in March 2000. So that's weird. I have to go back and have a look at that first tasting again. It was pretty funny. Don't remember pre-Drinks with Kate. No, well, it's not worth remembering. I'm sorry to hear your dinner's running late, but I'm sure it is going nicely with mixed nuts. Mixed nuts are a pretty good match to just about any wine, I reckon. Pete, you're having some L'artisan Petit Rouge with Richard's toasted bread. That sounds very nice as well. How lovely. Fiona, normally associated with white wine. Hint of jasmine. I get a sort of a slightly green, blossomy kind of character too. Not sure if I'm seeing jasmine yet, but I know what you mean, I think, Fiona. And a really interesting little side fact is that I went out into the courtyard today, and I think some of you who came and did Drinks with Kate Live a couple of Sundays ago, I said that the ornamental vines were just starting to flower, and they're going crazy now, and you've got this lovely little kind of delicate perfume in the air from the flowering vine flowers, and it's just stunning. It's really subtle. It's really lovely. Oh, Joel's going to have another glass in a bit with Anna's chicken noodle soup. Sounds good. Oh, sorry to hear about the colds. What else? Oh, something's biting my ankle. It's not a dog. I hope it's not a mosquito. Scotty's seeing some cinnamon. Yes. Definitely cinnamon. I got cinnamon right at the beginning, and it kind of went away, and it's coming back again with this. The star anise has kind of faded into the background a bit, but the cinnamon's kind of coming and going. It's going well with my recipe. Excellent, Peter. I'm glad to hear that you made my little cheats sanctuary bao. It's yummy, isn't it? It's like Mum makes a sort of a stir-fried noodly kind of a dish that's, I'm sure, very very Australianised, with sort of mincemeat and soy sauce and garlic and peas. And so that's what my recipe was inspired by. Sorry, I've got a really itchy ankle. I think I've been mosquitoed or something. Ow. Sorry, I'll come back. But I think this wine works really well with that saltiness of soy and the umami of the meat, and then those green peas give you a bit of pop and a bit of crunch, along with the lettuce leaf, if you're using a lettuce leaf to sort of convey it to your mouth. Craig's seeing a little bit of menthol, but in a fresh way, like your old menthol cigarettes. Is that what you're talking about? I see what you mean. It's one of the things that a lot of Mornington Peninsula producers get really paranoid about. If someone says menthol or mint, they get really freaked out. But I often see a little bit of wild mint in our Pinots, just a little hint, and it's fresh and it's lovely and it's not dominating the other aromas and flavours. So I'm not paranoid about it like some other people. But it is it's a little Australian accent that the wine gets from mainly the gum trees around the area. Just a little bit of gum trees, a little bit of the taste of Australia. That's right, Peter. Alpine Lights, Fiona. That's delightful. And it's weird because it kind of comes and goes in waves. Like I just smelled it then and I didn't smell much at all except for a little bit of red cherry, and then I smelled it again and it's just coming back with some sort of meaty, soy kind of notes. It's really intriguing. So, we're halfway through October. It's a little bit scary. I did a wine delivery earlier today, and we both agreed, the wine shop I was delivering to, and I agreed that it's far too close to Christmas now for our liking. It's all a little bit scary. Down here at the vineyard, as I said, the ornamental vines are just starting to flower, which means that we're expecting the vineyard to go into flower possibly in the next few weeks. I'm really hoping it'll hold off for a week or two, because after the next, I think, 24 hours, apparently it's supposed to get really crummy weather down here again, rain and cold for almost a week. And then I'd like to order up some lovely blue sky, calm, no wind, just gentle sunshine, about 26, exactly the day that we had today weather-wise. We'll just order that up for another 2 or 3 weeks would be great. And then it can start warming up a little bit after that. So if anyone's got any connections with the weather gods, if you could just kind of put in a request, do a little non-rain dance for us for the next few weeks, that would be delightful. This wine is subtle, the nose and the flavours, Peter, and I think it's just delicious. If people are still on their first glass, which probably none of you are, you're probably a little bit ahead of me, and you're getting down to the last of it and it's starting to kind of fade a little bit, that's when you give yourself a little top up. I believe very strongly that unless you're keeping an eye on, exactly how much you're drinking, because, for example, you might have to drive home straight away afterwards, and so you can only have that much. If you're just kind of drinking and relaxed and not having to go anywhere for a little while, then when there's just a little bit left in the bottom and you're still drinking the same bottle, it's really nice to just give it a little top up, because it freshens the aromas amazingly. It's like all of a sudden it's like this new wine again in the glass. It's just gorgeous. It's full of all that floral and spice and that red fruit, and all of a sudden it's not subtle at all, because you've kind of been digging into that last little bit in the bottom of the glass, and then you've got a whole glass again of this gorgeous richness and beautifulness, but still very elegant. So nearly breathe that in instead of swallowing it. Don't breathe in when you're drinking wine. It's a very bad idea to get wine in your lungs. It's not very nice. You know what I mean by soy now? Yeah, sometimes these things take a while to come in, Fiona, and also you've got to remember, I've been tasting these Moorooduc Pinots a lot, consistently for many years, and I think it's a really specific character that comes with Pinots from the cooler years. You get this lovely kind of soy sauce, even sometimes a little bit of a sort of a stir-fried tofu kind of aromatic, which some people might think sounds absolutely revolting, but I think it's quite nice. I've just noticed that Kay's not with us today. Oh, I'll have to send her a little message, see what's happened. She usually lets me know if she's not joining us. So yes, Cotty, when the waiter tops your glass before it's empty, it is a good thing, not pushy to have more. Could be being pushy to have more as well. And if you are driving and you're trying to count your glasses, it's always a good idea to let them wait. Good work, Jack, on your second. And second glass is a whole new treat, absolutely. After food, very different to before food as well. You're right, Nareem, the etiquette is not to top up with a fresh bottle. You need to finish that bottle and drink that, and then start with at least empty glasses, if not clean glasses, with a new bottle. I think we go through too many glasses going from wine to wine. particularly if you're being sensible and starting with a lighter wine and then going on to a slightly heavier wine, then the second wine is going to get rid of any of the aromas or flavours of the first wine, unless you're going from sort of sweet white wine to light red wine or something like that. But yeah, I think so many etiquette issues with wine drinking, but it's easier when you're doing it in your own living room, isn't it? All right, so we have a little bit of a Pinot theme going on over this week and next week. Pinot Noir, the 2020 today being a new release that you can get at Cellar Door almost immediately. Yes, that's right, Peter and Karen. Dreadful, partially full glass with a new bottle. Because I don't know about you guys, but usually when I'm at a restaurant, I order a bottle of something different after I finish the first bottle. So that's even worse when they make a blend for you when you're not asking for it. This week we're looking at the current release 2020, and Jeremy and I had this. Well, it was Jeremy's idea, and I thought it was a good one. Of next week having a look at the 2022 Estate Pinot Noir, which is still quite a way off being ready to release. You'll notice that it doesn't have a proper front label on it. And that was because sometimes we can't count and we order too few front labels for some bizarre reason for our wine. I think there is a good reason. It's because the labels go on the outside of all of the boxes. Is that right, Jeremy? Is that what happened? Forgot to order extra front labels for the boxes. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe I'm just anyway. Something happened. We were short front labels for a few boxes, and we thought, what a nice opportunity to put a special sample label on the front, so that you don't get it mixed up with all your other Moorooduc wines. And that wine, so Peter and Karen accidentally got stuck into that wine this week, didn't you? And it is so different. It's not, and I'm sorry that that happened for you guys, because I really wanted to have a chance to give you a little preamble about the fact that it's going to be a little bit more of a technical tasting next week, and I will think of something food-wise to match to it, but it's not going to be a challenging food and wine match, because it's a baby wine. It's not in our minds ready to release yet, and we're going to talk about what characters we're seeing in that wine next week and what we expect it to do over the next 12 to 18 months in bottle, until we are ready to release it. So I think the wine will still be interesting and tasty to drink. Some of you might find it even more delicious and ask me, why we don't release our wines earlier. But for me, I think those wines will tend to kind of soften and mellow with the time that we give them in bottle, which I think is probably a good thing. But it's going to be really fun to have a look at it and have a chat about it next week and see. It's almost like almost a barrel tasting for you guys. Not quite, because it's bottled, but only just. So that'll be fun. I am going to let you guys get off to your dinner and the rest of your wine and each other. So you go and have a lovely evening. It is a Drinks with Kate exclusive, absolutely, Joel. Oh, good, Peter and Karen, you've saved some for next week. Good. Regard to Michelle. Lovely that you guys could join. And I look forward to, actually, if you've got any particularly Tokyo tips for me, I'll be there in January, and I've got 2 days on my own before I meet up with my friends for skiing. So anything that anyone's got any recommendations for Tokyo solo fun, that would be much appreciated. Thank you, Shell. I knew you'd have heaps. It does pay to belong, Joel. Welcome aboard. We look forward to welcoming you back again next week. You've got your Pinot Gris to catch up with at some stage from last week. I hope you enjoy that too. Keep enjoying Japan, Shell and Andrew. Everybody else enjoy wherever you are. Have a lovely evening and a beautiful week. And I'll see you all again next Thursday with 2022 Estate Pinot Noir sample from the cellar. Can't wait. See you later, guys. Bye.